Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the stars drift past through the main window. The ship had been flying through empty space for 3 weeks now, checking planets and moons that might be good for human colonies. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The Defiant was not the biggest ship in the human fleet, but it was fast and strong. 200 people lived and worked on the ship. Most of them had been together for 2 years now, and they worked well as a team. "Captain, we are getting close to the edge of the Veil Nebula," said Ryan Carter from his seat at the navigation controls. He was a young officer with bright eyes and steady hands. "Should we change course to go around it?" Jake looked at the big cloud of gas and dust ahead of them. The Veil Nebula was huge, stretching across space like a wall. No ship was allowed to go inside it. The Galactic Council had made that rule 300 years ago, and they were very serious about it. "Keep us on course," Jake said. "We will stay outside the restricted zone." Lisa Brooks, the chief engineer, looked up from her workstation. She was a smart woman who could fix anything on the ship. "Captain, do you ever wonder what is really inside that nebula? The aliens say it is dangerous, but they never explain why." "Orders are orders," Jake replied, but he was thinking the same thing. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years. In that time, they had learned to follow the rules that older species had made, but it still felt strange to avoid a whole region of space just because someone said it was off limits. Amy Davis sat at the communications station, listening to radio signals from across the galaxy. She was good at her job and could pick up messages from very far away. Suddenly, she sat up straight and put her hand to her ear. "Captain, I am picking up something strange," she said. "It sounds like a distress signal, but it is very weak." Jake walked over to her station. "Where is it coming from?" Amy worked with her controls for a few minutes, trying to make the signal clearer. Her face went pale as she looked at her screen. "Sir, it is coming from inside the Veil Nebula, deep inside." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew that no ship had ever come out of the nebula alive. The Galactic Council had automated defense platforms around the edge that turned ships away. They said the space inside was full of dangerous energy storms that would destroy any vessel. "Let me hear it," Jake said. Amy put the signal on the main speakers. Through the static and noise, they could hear a voice. It was speaking in English. "This is the colony ship New Horizon? We are trapped and need help. Our engines are dead and we cannot escape. Please, if anyone can hear this, we have been here for 50 years. We need rescue." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. The New Horizon had been lost 50 years ago, while taking families to start a new colony. Earth had searched for them for years, but never found any trace. Everyone thought they were dead. "Amy, are you sure that signal is coming from inside the nebula?" he asked. "Yes, sir. The direction is clear. It is coming from the center of the restricted zone." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. He could see the same thought in all their faces. There were humans in there who needed help, but going into the nebula meant breaking the biggest rule in galactic law. "Captain," said Lisa, "if there are really people in there, we cannot just leave them. The Galactic Council will be very angry if we enter that zone," Ryan said. "They might kick humanity out of the galactic community." Jake walked to the big window and stared at the swirling clouds of the nebula. Somewhere in there, human families might be waiting for rescue. How could he fly away and leave them? "Sir," Amy said quietly, "I am getting more of the message now. They say they have children with them, families who have been trapped for 50 years. That decided it for Jake. He had joined the space service to help people and explore new places. He had not joined to follow rules that kept him from saving lives. "Lisa, I want you to check all our systems. Make sure everything is working perfectly," he said. "Ryan, plot a course into the nebula. Amy, try to get a better fix on that signal." "Captain, are you sure about this?" Ryan asked. Jake nodded. "If there are humans in there who need help, then we are going to help them. I do not care what the aliens say about their restricted zone." Lisa smiled and went back to her controls. "The ship is ready, Captain. All systems are green." "Sir," Amy said, "I should warn you. If we go in there and something happens to us, no one will come looking. The other ships in the fleet will not be allowed to follow us." Jake thought about that. If they went into the nebula and got trapped like the New Horizon, they would all die there. But if they did nothing, the people who were already trapped would keep waiting for help that would never come. "I understand," he said, "but we cannot leave our own people behind. Set course for the center of the nebula." The Defiant turned toward the Veil Nebula, flying toward the edge of the restricted zone. Behind them, the rest of known space grew smaller. Ahead of them lay the greatest mystery in the galaxy, and somewhere in the darkness, humans were waiting for rescue. The used Defiant moved slowly toward the edge of the Veil Nebula. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the swirling clouds of gas and dust grow larger on the main screen. The nebula looked beautiful from far away, but he knew it was supposed to be deadly. "Captain, we are approaching the defense grid," Ryan Carter said from his navigation station. "I can see the automated platforms on my sensors." The defense platforms were large metal structures that floated in space around the nebula. They had been there for 300 years, turning away any ship that tried to enter. Jake had heard stories about what happened to vessels that ignored the warnings. Most of them were destroyed or disappeared forever. "Amy, are you still getting that distress signal?" Jake asked. Amy Davis nodded from her communications station. "Yes, sir. It is getting stronger as we get closer. The New Horizon is definitely in there." Lisa Brooks looked up from her engineering controls. "Captain, I have been thinking about something. The aliens say there are dangerous energy storms in the nebula, but my sensors are not showing anything like that." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "I mean the energy readings I am getting do not match what energy storms should look like. This looks more like some kind of technology, like something is making the nebula look dangerous when it really is not." Jake walked over to her station. "You think the danger is fake?" "I think someone is hiding something in there and does not want visitors," Lisa said. "The nebula clouds are real, but the dangerous energy readings might be coming from machines, not natural storms." A loud beeping sound filled the bridge. One of the defense platforms had spotted them and was sending a warning message. "Attention. Human vessel," a computer voice said through the speakers. "You are approaching a restricted zone. Turn back immediately or face destruction." Jake looked at his crew. They all looked nervous, but none of them said they should turn around. "Captain," Ryan said, "I have been studying the positions of the defense platforms. They are spread out in a pattern, but there are gaps between them. If we were very careful, we might be able to slip through." "How big are the gaps?" Jake asked. "Small. We would have to fly very close to the platforms without touching their sensor fields. It would be dangerous." Lisa was working fast at her controls, running tests on the ship's systems. "Captain, I have an idea. Our electromagnetic pulse generators are pretty basic compared to alien technology, but maybe that is good. If there are machines in the nebula that are hiding something, our EMP might affect them in ways their builders did not expect." Jake thought about this. Human technology was often seen as primitive by the older alien species. Most human ships used simple electromagnetic systems while aliens had moved on to more advanced power sources. But sometimes simple technology worked better than complex systems. "What do you think will happen if we use the EMP?" he asked. "If I am right about the fake energy storms, our pulse might disrupt whatever is making them. We might be able to see what is really in there." Amy suddenly looked up from her station. "Captain, I am picking up something new. The signal from the New Horizon is changing. It sounds like they know we are here." She put the new message on the speakers. Through the static, they could hear an excited voice. "This is the New Horizon. We see a ship approaching the nebula. Please, whoever you are, be very careful. The defense systems are more complex than they look. We have been trying to escape for 50 years, but something always stops us." Jake made his decision. "Lisa, charge up the EMP generators. Ryan, find us the best path through the defense grid. Amy, keep monitoring that signal." The Defiant moved closer to the edge of the restricted zone. The defense platforms were huge up close, covered with weapons and sensors. Jake could feel sweat on his hands as Ryan carefully guided the ship between them. "Steady as she goes," Jake said quietly. "Nice and easy." They slipped past the first platform without being detected. Then the second one. The gap between the third and fourth platforms was very narrow, and Ryan had to turn the ship sideways to fit through. "Almost there," Ryan whispered. Suddenly, alarms started going off. One of the platforms had spotted them. "Warning, unauthorized vessel detected." The computer voice shouted, "Weapons charging." "Lisa, hit the EMP, now," Jake ordered. Lisa pressed a button and the ship's electromagnetic pulse shot out in all directions. The pulse was not very strong, but it reached the defense platforms, and something strange happened. Instead of just shutting down the platforms, the pulse seemed to travel into the nebula itself. "Captain, look at the main screen," Amy said. The swirling clouds of the nebula were changing. Parts of them were becoming see-through, like someone had turned off a television. Behind the fake clouds, they could see clear space and something that made everyone on the bridge gasp. "What is that?" Ryan asked. In the center of the nebula, where the worst energy storms were supposed to be, there was a massive structure. It was shaped like a ring, and was so big it could have fit a small moon inside it. The ring was made of some kind of metal that reflected the light from nearby stars. "Lisa, are your sensors working?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. That structure is artificial. Someone built it. And, Captain, I am reading a ship docked to it. It matches the design of the New Horizon." The fake energy storms were flickering on and off as the EMP pulse continued to disrupt whatever was creating them. Some of the defense platforms were starting to come back online, but they seemed confused by what was happening. "Ryan, get us into the nebula before those platforms figure out what to do," Jake said. The Defiant flew past the defense grid and into the Veil Nebula. The fake energy storms could not hide everything anymore. Jake could see that the space inside was actually quite calm and safe. "Amy, can you get a clearer signal from the New Horizon now?" he asked. "Yes, sir, much clearer." They are very excited. They say they have never seen the hiding field fail before. Hiding field. That is what they are calling it. "Captain, they want to guide us to a safe docking spot. They say we need to be careful because we are not alone in here." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean, not alone?" Amy listened to her headphones for a moment. "Sir, they say the people who built that ring structure are still here. They have been waiting for someone to find them. And Captain, they say these builders have been waiting specifically for humans." The UES Defiant moved slowly through the clear space inside the Veil Nebula. Jake Morrison could not believe what he was seeing. The massive ring structure ahead of them was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was made of a silver metal that seemed to glow with its own light. "Captain, I am getting detailed directions from the New Horizon," Amy Davis said from her communications station. "They want us to dock at a specific location on the ring structure." "Is it safe?" Jake asked. "They say yes. They have been living there for 50 years without any problems." Ryan Carter guided the Defiant toward the ring. As they got closer, Jake could see that the structure was covered with strange symbols and patterns. Some parts of it seemed to move and shift, like it was alive. "Lisa, what are your sensors telling you about this thing?" Jake asked. Lisa Brooks was staring at her screens with wide eyes. "Captain, this structure is incredibly advanced. The metal it is made of is not like anything in our databases, and there are energy readings coming from it that I cannot explain." "Is it dangerous?" I do not think so. The energy feels more like a power source than a weapon. But Captain, this technology is thousands of years ahead of anything we know about. The Defiant docked with the ring structure with a soft bump. Jake could hear the sounds of the docking clamps engaging and the airlock sealing. A few minutes later, Amy spoke up. Sir, we have a delegation from the New Horizon requesting permission to come aboard. Let them come, Jake said. The airlock opened, and 3 people walked onto the bridge. Jake recognized them immediately as humans, but they looked different somehow. Their clothes were made of materials he had never seen before, and they seemed to move with more confidence than people who had been trapped for 50 years should have. The first man was tall and had gray hair. He smiled and extended his hand to Jake. Captain Morrison, I am Ben Walsh. I was the settlement coordinator on the New Horizon. This is Kate Fisher, our security chief, and Dr. Alex Turner, our lead scientist. Jake shook their hands. How did you know my name? We have been monitoring your communications since you entered the nebula, Kate said. She was a woman with sharp eyes and a military bearing. We needed to make sure you were really human and not some alien trick. Dr. Turner was younger than the others and had an excited look on his face. Captain, you have no idea how important your arrival is. We have been waiting for more humans to find us, but we never thought it would actually happen. What exactly is this place? Jake asked. And how have you survived here for 50 years? Ben Walsh gestured toward the big window that showed the ring structure. Captain, what do you know about the architects? Never heard of them, Jake said. The architects were the first intelligent species in this part of the galaxy. They existed millions of years ago, long before any of the current alien civilizations. They built incredible technology and then vanished without a trace. Dr. Turner stepped forward. Actually, they did not vanish. They evolved. They became beings of pure energy and left their physical bodies behind. But before they did, they built this. He pointed to the ring structure. It is a gateway to other dimensions. Lisa looked up from her controls. Other dimensions. That sounds like science fiction. I thought so too, Dr. Turner said. But I have spent 50 years studying their technology. It is real, and it works. Jake was having trouble believing what he was hearing. If this technology is so advanced, why has no one else found it? Kate Fisher smiled grimly. Oh, they have found it. Many times. But every species that discovered this place tried to use the gateway as a weapon. The architects had to hide the ring and create the restricted zone to protect it. The fake energy storms, Jake said. Exactly. The defense grid in the hiding field keep most species away, but a few still get through sometimes. What happens to them? Amy asked. Ben Walsh looked sad. The architects test them. They watch to see what the visitors do when they find the gateway. If they try to weaponize it or use it for conquest, the architects send them away and make them forget what they saw. But you have been here for 50 years, Jake pointed out. That is because we are human, Dr. Turner said excitedly. The architects have been studying us since we first reached space. They think we might be different from the other species. Different how? Lisa asked. Every other species in the galaxy follows the same pattern, Ben explained. When they find advanced technology, they immediately think about how to use it to gain power over others. But humans are different. When you found us in here, your first thought was rescue, not conquest. Jake thought about this. It was true that his crew had not thought about the military applications of the ring structure. They had been focused on helping the trapped colonists, Dr. Turner continued. The architects have been testing humanity for 50 years through us. They wanted to see if we would try to escape and tell the galaxy about this place, or if we would be patient and wait for the right moment. And what did you do? Jake asked. We waited, Kate said. We studied their technology and learned their history. We helped them understand human nature and they helped us understand the universe in ways we never imagined. Amy suddenly looked up from her station. Captain, I am picking up some very strange energy readings. Something is happening to the ring structure. Through the window, they could see parts of the ring beginning to glow brighter. The strange symbols on its surface were moving faster now, creating patterns of light that seemed to pulse with life. Do not worry, Ben said calmly. The architects know you are here. They want to meet you. Meet us? Jake asked. Dr. Turner nodded. They have been waiting for more humans to arrive. They have something they want to offer humanity, but they needed to be sure we were ready for it. What kind of offer? Lisa asked. Knowledge, Dr. Turner said. Technology that could advance human civilization by thousands of years, but they will only share it if humanity promises to use it responsibly. The light from the ring structure was getting brighter. Jake could feel a strange vibration through the ship's hull, like music that was too low to hear, but could still be felt. Captain, Kate said seriously, what happens next will change everything for humanity. The architects are about to make first contact, and they want to know if humans can be trusted with power beyond our current understanding. Jake looked around at his crew. They all looked nervous but excited. This was the kind of discovery that explorers dreamed about their whole lives. What do we need to do? He asked. Ben Walsh smiled. Just be human, Captain. Be yourselves. The architects will know if you are honest with them. The ring structure pulsed with light one more time, and then something incredible happened. Shapes, made of pure energy, began to form in the space around them, growing brighter and more complex until they filled the view outside the ship. The shapes of pure energy outside the ship grew brighter and more complex. Jake Morrison watched in amazement as they formed into patterns that almost looked like faces or bodies, but made of light instead of matter. The bridge of the Defiant was filled with a soft humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Do not be afraid, Ben Walsh said calmly. The architects communicate through harmonics. The sound you are hearing is them trying to establish contact. Amy Davis was working frantically at her communications station. Captain, my equipment is picking up signals I have never seen before. It is like they are trying to talk directly to our brains instead of our radios. Dr. Turner stepped forward. That is exactly what they are doing. Human neural patterns are apparently very compatible with their communication method. It took us months to figure out how to talk with them when we first arrived. Lisa Brooks looked up from her engineering controls. Captain, something strange is happening to our systems. The architect energy is interfacing with our computers, but instead of taking them over, it seems to be trying to help them work better. Jake felt a tingling sensation in his head, like someone was gently touching his thoughts. Then, suddenly, he could hear a voice that was not coming through his ears. It spoke directly into his mind, but the words felt warm and peaceful. Greetings, humans of the vessel Defiant. We are the architects. We have been waiting to meet with your species. Jake looked around the bridge and could see that his crew was hearing the same voice. Amy nodded at him, and Ryan gave him a thumbs up to show they were all receiving the message. We can hear you, Jake said out loud, not sure if they would understand. We understand your spoken words as well as your thoughts, the voice replied. We have been studying your species through our friends on the New Horizon for 50 of your years. You intrigue us. Kate Fisher stepped closer to Jake. Captain, the architects want to show you something. They are going to share some of their memories with you. It might feel strange at first. Suddenly, Jake's mind was filled with images that were not his own. He saw the galaxy as it was millions of years ago, when the architects were still physical beings. They had been explorers and builders, creating amazing technology and spreading knowledge throughout space. But as the images continued, Jake saw what happened when other species found architect technology. Again and again, civilizations that discovered their knowledge used it to build weapons and conquer their neighbors. The architects watched as their gifts were turned into tools of war and oppression. We grew tired of seeing our knowledge used for destruction, the voice said sadly. So we evolved beyond physical form and hid our greatest creation here in this nebula. We have been testing species for eons, waiting for one that would use our gifts responsibly. The images in Jake's mind changed to show the current galactic civilizations. He saw the proud alien species that humanity had met when they first reached space. But, through the architect's perspective, he could see the fear and greed that motivated most of their actions. Every species that has found this place has immediately thought of conquest, the voice continued. They see our gateway and think of using it to invade other dimensions or to gain power over their enemies. But humans think differently. Jake saw images of his own crew's actions since entering the nebula. He watched himself deciding to enter the restricted zone to rescue the trapped colonists. He saw Lisa trying to help their systems work better instead of taking control of alien technology. He saw the way his crew worked together as a team instead of fighting for individual power. Your species has a quality that we have not seen in others, the voice said. When you find power, your first instinct is to use it to help others, not to dominate them. This gives us hope. Dr. Turner spoke up. Captain, the architects want to make humanity an offer. They are willing to share their knowledge with us, but only if we promise to use it as guardians instead of conquerors. What kind of knowledge? Jake asked. The voice answered directly in his mind. Technology that will allow your ships to travel between dimensions. Energy systems that will provide unlimited clean power. Medical knowledge that will eliminate disease and extend life. Construction techniques that will let you build structures like this ring. Jake felt his heart racing. The technology the architects were offering could solve every major problem humanity faced. No more energy shortages, no more incurable diseases, no more limits on where humans could explore. But there is a price, the voice continued. You must promise to use this knowledge only to protect and help other species. You will become the guardians of our legacy, ensuring that it is never used for conquest or oppression. Lisa looked at Jake with wide eyes. Captain, this could change everything for humanity. We could become the most advanced species in the galaxy. That is exactly what worries them, Kate Fisher said. Every other species that gained access to advanced technology used it to take over others. The architects need to know that humans will be different. Jake thought about this carefully. The offer was incredible, but the responsibility was enormous. If humanity accepted, they would become the protectors of technology that could reshape the entire galaxy. How do we know we can be trusted with this much power? He asked honestly. You ask that question, the voice replied with what sounded like approval. That is why we believe you might be worthy. Other species assume they deserve power. You question whether you should have it. Amy suddenly looked up from her station. Captain, I am receiving a message from Earth Command. They know we entered the restricted zone, and they are demanding that we return immediately. Jake realized that his decision would affect not just his crew, but all of humanity. If he accepted the architect's offer, it would change the course of human history forever. What happens if we say no? He asked. Then you return to your people and forget this place ever existed, the voice said. We will ensure that your memories of the ring and our technology are removed. You will remember only that you rescued the colonists from the New Horizon. And if we say yes, then you become the first human guardians. Your ship will be upgraded with our technology, and you will help us train others of your species. Humanity will take its place as the protectors of knowledge in this galaxy. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. The weight of speaking for all humanity felt overwhelming. Ben Walsh put a hand on Jake's shoulder. Captain, I have had 50 years to think about this choice. The architects are not asking humanity to be perfect. They are asking us to try to be better than those who came before. Jake took a deep breath and made his decision. Jake Morrison looked out at the energy beings floating in space around his ship. The weight of choosing for all humanity felt heavy on his shoulders, but he knew what he had to do. "We accept," he said firmly. "Humanity accepts the responsibility of becoming guardians of your knowledge." The architect beings pulsed brighter, and Jake could feel approval flowing through their mental connection. "We are pleased by your choice, Captain Morrison. The transformation will begin now." Suddenly, the UES Defiant was surrounded by streams of golden light that flowed from the ring structure. Jake felt the ship vibrate as the light passed through every part of it. Lisa Brooks was staring at her engineering controls with amazement. "Captain, our entire power system is changing," she said excitedly. "The architect energy is rebuilding our engines from the inside out. We are getting power. Readings that should not be possible." Amy Davis looked up from her communications station. "Sir, I can suddenly detect signals from all over the galaxy. It is like our communication range just increased by 1,000 times." Ryan Carter was working with his navigation controls and shaking his head in wonder. "Captain, the star charts on my computer now show things that were not there before. I can see pathways through space that lead to other dimensions." Dr. Turner from the New Horizon was smiling widely. "This is exactly what happened to our ship 50 years ago. The architects are upgrading your technology to match theirs." Jake felt the mental voice of the architects speaking to him again. "Your ship is now capable of traveling between dimensions and across vast distances instantly. But more importantly, your weapons have been changed. They will no longer destroy, but will instead disable and protect." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Show?" Ben Walsh said to the architects. Images filled Jake's mind, showing the Defiant's new capabilities. The ship could now move through space in ways that made it almost impossible to hit. Its weapons could shut down enemy systems without harming the people inside. Most amazing of all, it could create protective barriers around other ships to keep them safe. "You are now the first Guardian vessel," the voice said. "Your job is to protect the innocent and ensure that advanced technology is not used for conquest." Suddenly, Amy's communications board lit up with urgent messages. "Captain, I am receiving multiple signals from outside the nebula. It looks like the Galactic Council is sending a fleet to force us out of the restricted zone." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The alien governments had always been suspicious of humanity's rapid expansion into space. If they found out about the architect technology, they would demand control of it. "How long until they arrive?" he asked. "About 6 hours, sir. And Captain, it is not just 1 or 2 ships. My sensors show at least 50 vessels from different alien species. They all seem very angry." Kate Fisher stepped forward. "Captain, this was always going to happen. The other species cannot allow humans to have access to technology they do not understand or control." "What should we do?" Jake asked. Ben Walsh smiled. "We show them that humans really are different. We prove that we will not use this power to hurt them." The architect voice spoke in Jake's mind again. "The test begins now, Captain. How you handle this situation will determine whether humanity is truly ready to be guardians." Jake thought quickly. The alien fleet was coming to attack them, but the architects had given the Defiant weapons that could disable, rather than destroy. This was his chance to prove that humans could be trusted with advanced power. "Lisa, how long would it take to upgrade the New Horizon with the same technology?" he asked. "According to these new systems, about 2 hours," she replied. "Do it, Ben. I want you and your people to take the New Horizon back to Earth. Tell them what happened here and start training more Guardian crews." "What about you?" Dr. Turner asked. "We are going to meet that alien fleet and show them that humans keep their promises." 6 hours later, the UES Defiant sat in space outside the Veil Nebula, waiting. Jake could see the alien fleet approaching. On his sensors, ships from a dozen different species, all armed and ready for battle. "Captain, they are hailing us," Amy reported. Put them through. A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. Human vessel, you have violated galactic law by entering the restricted zone. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. This is Captain Morrison of the UES Defiant, Jake replied calmly. We entered the zone to rescue human colonists who had been trapped there for 50 years. We are not looking for a fight. You will surrender the alien technology you have stolen, or we will take it by force. Jake looked at his crew. They all nodded, showing they were ready for what came next. I am sorry, but I cannot do that, Jake said. However, I promise you that we will not use this technology to harm anyone. The alien fleet opened fire. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Defiant from all directions. Jake held his breath, trusting in the architect upgrades. The attacks never reached his ship. The Defiant moved through space like it was dancing, avoiding every shot with impossible grace. When the alien weapons got close, they simply passed through the ship as if it was not really there. Lisa, disable their weapons, but do not hurt anyone, Jake ordered. Yes, sir. The Defiant fired streams of golden energy at the alien ships. Instead of explosions, the beams simply turned off the weapons and engines of every vessel in the fleet. Within minutes, 50 warships were floating helplessly in space. Amy, open a channel to all the alien ships, Jake said. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Morrison. As you can see, we now have access to very advanced technology. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in seconds, but we chose not to. We kept our promise to use this power only to protect, not to conquer. There was silence from the alien fleet for several minutes. Finally, a different voice spoke. It sounded older and wiser than the first one. Human Captain, this is Admiral Vex of the Galactic Council. What you have done today is unexpected. We came here expecting a battle. We do not want war, Jake replied. We want to work together to make the galaxy a safer place for everyone. These weapons you used on us, ... They caused no permanent damage. None at all. Your ships will be fully operational again in a few hours. We wanted to show you that humans can be trusted with power. Admiral Vex was quiet for a long moment. Captain Morrison, the Galactic Council will need time to discuss what has happened here today. Will you agree to a meeting to explain these new developments? Of course, Jake said. We have nothing to hide. Over the following months, Jake found himself traveling between Earth and the alien capital worlds, explaining humanity's new role as guardians. Some species were angry and suspicious, but others were intrigued by the idea of protectors who chose not to dominate. The Defiant became the flagship of a new guardian fleet, with human crews trained by the architects to use their technology responsibly. They stopped wars, protected trade routes, and helped younger species develop their own technology safely. Jake was promoted to Admiral and given command of the entire Guardian program. The ship that had started as a simple exploration vessel was now the symbol of humanity's promise to protect rather than conquer. Standing on the bridge of the upgraded Defiant, looking out at the stars, Jake remembered the day they had first heard the distress signal from the Veil Nebula. That decision to help trapped humans had changed the course of galactic history. Admiral Amy said from her station, "We are receiving a distress call from the Outer Rim. Pirates are attacking a colony ship full of families." Jake smiled. Some things never changed. Set course for the Outer Rim. Let us go help some people. The used Defiant, now transformed but still carrying its human heart, jumped through space toward another rescue mission. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors, but as the guardians they had always been meant to be.